Hello, my name is Andrew Collins and I'm a Telly Addict. You know when you're watching a game and nothing's happening, they're just clogging the ball up and down the field? Waiting for a set play to break the tedium as they head for extra time. It is in many ways a game of throw-ins, and then in the 87th minute, yes, in an analogy almost as tortured as Theon Greyjoy, I'm talking about the 6th season of Game of Thrones, which went out with a massive lime green bang. It was almost enough to make us forget about how dull and colourless some of this breakaway season had been, with characters going from A to B. And crows flying from B to C to deliver messages that not much was happening. Episodes 9 and 10, the first one actually titled Battle of the Bastards, which has nothing to do with the Tory leadership contest, made us forget about the trudging and the deal-making and the stalemate that dominated the previous 8. Season 6 was the first to significantly deviate from the not-quite-yet finished novels, and yet not the first to deviate much from neutral. Here's George R.R. Martin checking the manuscript.
According to our records, Guillaume Mormont is Lord Commander.
He died.
We received no report from the Maester at Castle Black.
Maester Aemon became quite ill shortly after the election.
I was left trying to wring Brexit allegories out of a place where there can't have been any, but I'm not about to forsake Game of Thrones. Its worst episodes are still better than the best episodes of most TV dramas. And winter has come, which means some kind of final merger, and the throne will get its rightful heir.
When you play the Game of Thrones, you win or you die.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
No. Come hither, peasant. Come here. Who are you?
Our starship is in trouble.
Okay, Leslie, listen, if you don't know what you're talking about.
I've been reviewing Game of Thrones for 5 years. I did it on the first ever Telly Addict. Remember these two blokes?
What do you say, just you and me on the King's Road, swords at our sides, a couple of tavern wenches to warm our beds tonight?
You'd have asked me 20 years ago.
The King's Road isn't what it used to be either. So, back to the old certainties. A poor showing in the second week of Celebrity MasterChef. It took the second batch of cooks 33 minutes into the episode with the catering task to use the phrase comfort zone.
I've never cooked for more than 6 or 7 people, so this is totally out of my comfort zone, but...
He's going to win. The rugby player always wins. I think it's because they've got cauliflower ears. They have a special empathy with ingredients. I'm still well into Versailles, and you had to love this week's allusion to modern scaffolders.
Sophie! Listen to me. What have I done? Not make eyes at us like that.
They haven't changed, have they? And while we're in the French countryside, anybody else distracted by this bloke's name on the opening credits? I bet he pushes in at the catering truck. Now, nobody's saying Versailles is a history lesson. This is a history lesson.
Nietzsche fled in bleak mood. His books weren't selling. He was in bad health and often suicidal.
Hey, we all get bleak and suicidal when our books aren't selling. Bettany Hughes, the history teacher you wished you'd had instead of the one who told you that canals were definitely going to come up in the O-level exam, but they didn't, which is one of the reasons you got a U, presents 3 great thinkers in 3 programmes. Marx, Freud, and my favourite, Nietzsche.
It's an image of Adolf Hitler, standing next to the bust of Nietzsche here in Weimar, where the philosopher lived. With chilling eloquence, this tells us what many Nazis believed, that Nietzsche was the brilliant mind, the inspiration behind the terrifying ideologies of the Third Reich.
I've read some pretty snippy reviews of this series from critics who seem to already know the subjects and were keen for us to appreciate that. I, meanwhile, filled my boots. What little I did know of Nietzsche, I'd learned from a Monty Python sketch and a David Bowie album. And as for modern documentary grammar, that our host must walk and talk, rack up the air miles and point at things, would you prefer pages of solid text to scroll up the screen?
He was walking by this lake when he stopped next to this rock and suddenly had a vision.
Hughes is an engaged and engaging presenter, willing to put up with the nonsense of having to sit and wistfully look at a book in a place of interest if it's in the name of education.
Nietzsche's early years were settled and sheltered. His parents had 2 other children. When he was 2, his sister Elizabeth was born.
Sometimes the director tried a bit too hard to sex it up.
Nietzsche was living in an age dominated by the rise of science, where the search for objective truth was all-consuming.
When, at the end of the day, the crew had walked 1,000,000 miles to tell us why Nietzsche never smiles. And for those of us whose dog ate our PhD in philosophy, it was a handy guide with a memorable take-home dinner party conversation starter.
His philosophies were being distorted by a regime that stood for so much that he'd have loathed.
From history to economics, and another lesson to be learned.
Boys, look at this, look. He's marking his territory.
He's peeing on the furniture.
Yeah, but he's showing Ryan who's boss. That's why it's called a pissing contest when 2 men try and stake out their turf.
I don't love it when men do that either.
Breakfast bar life lessons when your dad's a billionaire hedge fund manager with the preternatural competence of the only partner at his hedge fund who survived 9/11. No, I don't know what a hedge fund is, and Billions from HBO has the preternatural competence not to explain it.
Traders at 12:52 when everyone was at lunch, which tells me they wanted it to be missed. You guys caught it, which is something, I guess. But you're looking at it backward. Electric Sun's offer was just a ploy to temporarily prop up Lumitherm. Typical Kasowitz play to bail on a loser. He's an animal. The block trade was Kasowitz getting out of Southern Wind, getting out of Lumitherm. He wrote the story, now he's out, which means you need to be out. In fact, short. It'll slide to 32 and change after word breaks.
No, it's not written by Aaron Sorkin, although aims for the same theatrical verbosity where even the stupidest person in the room sounds smarter than anyone in yours. And that's why I fell so hard for Billions, which Sky episode dumped as a box set, and I binged accordingly. Essentially a 12-part duel between Damian Lewis's crooked financier and Paul Giamatti's dogged US attorney. You've got to love this kind of high-wire prose.
Walk away. I should. But then again, what's the point of having you money if you never say you?
Now, you're a smart man. So you know when I bring an action, not some county or even state, it's the United States versus... Well, don't give me a reason.
Created by Brian Koppelman, David Levian and Andrew Ross Sorkin, who confusingly isn't related to Aaron Sorkin, Billions challenges you to root for either of its flawed protagonists, the kind of alphas who aren't talking unless they're making a speech.
Rough morning. But a reminder like this is useful. What we do has consequences. Intended and, unintended. The decisions we make, the actions we bring, have weight.
Give me a drama whose words have weight. The metaphors might be a mile high, but it can't just be medieval fantasy that gets to think big.
What the hell's wrong with Elmo?
He went to the vet to get fixed, remember?
The house. I want it.
If you have access to Sky box sets, all 12 episodes of Billions await. I would say it's the dog's, but that seems a bit unfair on the dog. It's so good, I've already started to watch it again.
My cholesterol's high enough. Don't butter my ass, Danzig. Just get smarter.
Your Moment of Zen comes from a curio, also from HBO, the adult animation Animals. A warning, it gets darker than Nietzsche's mood when the clocks go back, but here's a super cool bit with cats. Canals is definitely going to come up. It's definitely going to come up in the exam paper.
She looks good. She does look really good.
So first off, we have tickle fight for the next 2 hours.
Sure.
So it's just you and me, back and forth, tickle fighting.
Got it.
Hour 2, we're going to wrap around the back of the couch and we're going to scratch at it. So really loose, really impromptu session of just scratching the back of the couch. After that, we're going to play the ball game.
Right, of course.
The
ball
little
game.
tiny ball that you can sink in,
just
bat it back and forth. And after that, we're going to go into a pre-lunch snack, a light thing, a dry food before we get into the wet.
I'm sorry, Phil. I just need to interrupt you because I just want to make sure that you know I do have something at 3:30.
Thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe for the latest Telly Addict and more videos from UKTV. You can also check out last week's episode. See you next week.